and good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us once again for another one of our streaming safaris. You're joining myself, Keeper Kylie, who's working the camera today. Now, I'm in an area where you guys probably have not been, because this is actually one of our private areas. This is our courtyard area, which is available for rent for private parties. So if you guys come to the ranch, I don't see this, but we have some beautiful flowers back here, because today is all about bees. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but first I want to go ahead and give a huge shout out to everyone who has been continuing to support us. It has been a tremendous outpouring of support. We are absolutely thrilled by it. It's still not over yet. Unfortunately, we still have no idea when we are going to be able to reopen. So please, if you're able to keep those donations coming, we really do appreciate it, especially things like Amazon Smiles, or just like doing it right here on our Facebook page or on our website, which is lionhabitatranch.org. We are going to follow those guidelines, so as soon as we know, we'll let you know. We have no idea of when those opening dates are. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, but right now we just don't know. So as soon as we know, check on our Facebook page and we'll give you that information. We are going to try and prep up as much as possible, so as soon as we get the word, we're not going to have to do much, but keep following. Yes.
I have a comment that says not visible. Are you guys able to see okay? Can you guys give us some likes or hearts? I just want to make sure you guys can see.
I'm here. I'll be here. See me dancing? I'm dancing. I'm like a bee, guys, because bees dance. They do.
It looks like it. Maybe. I don't have any other comments, anything going on, so go ahead.
We are in a little bit of a different area, so our connection might be a little bit wonky. So it might just take a minute to get up to speed as well. So hopefully we'll continue with that. So yeah, today is National Bee Day. So we are gonna go and talk about our little guys who do so much, and then we'll be doing a little craft to make your own bee pot or bee plant container. Because guys, you can do this with whatever you have at home, and I'll go through that. Next question or comment.
It looks like Caitlin's mom, Xanifer, said we can see in here, and Ian also says he can see in here.
So then you should be dancing along with me. Guys, woo! Alright. So, bees are amazing, amazing little pollinators, and when I say that, I'm really not being facetious there. They really are a huge, integral part to our daily lives. We don't realize, but 75% of the produce you guys are buying at the store needs to be pollinated, and a lot of that happens through our little bee friends. So it is not just honey, it's not just the flowers we see around us. Think about the produce we like at the store. Guys, I love coffee. We need it. So those kind of things, avocados, all that fun stuff, need bees for the pollinations, and that's a really, really big fact. And there are so many amazing kinds. But honey is something that is absolutely an astounding thing. Guys, it takes 2 million flowers, a little pollen from 2 million flowers, to make 1 pound of honey. Pretty crazy. So these guys are working pretty hard. So let's get into some bee facts, and we'll talk about it. Now, it's actually a mostly female hive. That's what a group of the bees is called. So they're going to go and live in that hive, and there is a queen who goes and lays eggs. She'll lay up to 2,000 a day. Pretty crazy. Next question.
We have another person who said it just came through this second, so we don't know anything she's been saying. Super quick recap if possible.
Hey guys, we don't know when we're going to open, so thank you for having your support. Donations are still very, very helpful, so you guys are still able to donate. If you're not, that's okay. By sharing, liking, commenting on these videos, we can help get the word out to more people, and hopefully we're able to go and get more donations. But today is National Bee Day.
Don't forget to dance. You also danced.
I'm dancing, because bees dance. I'm going to dance all for this. So we will be making these little crafts that you guys can go and take home, because the goal is that you guys can go and plant some fun little things at home, maybe like some peas that you can start to sprout, or even just some little flowers that you might find at home. You can put them right in here and maybe attract some of your little bee friends. So yeah, they are a queen-driven family, so that means they are female-centric. There are a few males who are born in amongst those eggs. They are called drones. It is their job to go off and find another honeybee queen to go and start making more. Now the rest of the time, They are worker bees, and worker bees are all female. They're either going to be working in the nursery, so they kind of have this stage where they are baby bees, and then they kind of grow up into this stage of like, think of like your teenage babysitters kind of thing. They're kind of adults, they have responsibilities, but they're not working yet. That's kind of like what the nursery bees do. So those are actually what the honeycombs are. When you think about those honeycomb structures, those are where the eggs are formed, and that's where they go and they take care of them. Now it does take that honey to be able to go and feed a hive, so that's where the foragers come into play. They are able to go and fly in amongst the flowers. They can actually reach speeds up 20 miles per hour, and those female foragers are usually the ones you see out and about in amongst your flowers. So you're actually looking at female honeybees out and about, and they're going to go and bring the pollen back. They can carry it on their back legs. Really, really cute if you look at honeybees. They have those little fuzzy butts and the little pollen sacs next to them. By the way, guys, I do want to give a huge shout out to our friend Danielle. And the reason is Danielle is going to be joining me later on today. We're going to be filming our next interview. If you guys have been following along with our Animal Career Day series, she is going to be interviewed today because it is National Bee Day. She's a beekeeper, an apiculturist. So apiculture is the care of bees, and so we're going to be interviewing her, and you guys can see that next Tuesday, or on Tuesday I should say. So follow along with that. That will be a whole bunch of fun, and we're going to get a lot more bee information there. So I'm mostly going to be focusing on the craft. Stick around for that. Next comment.
Thank you, Michelle, for your donation, and hello to Rexy and you. Thanks for joining us, and also hello to Caitlin's soon-to-be mother-in-law from Pennsylvania.
Awesome! Thank you guys for joining us. I like how none of my family is joining, guys. That's all right.
Ooh.
I'm going to keep dancing. Why am I dancing, guys? Because when bees go back to the hive to be able to show where and how far the flowers are, they dance. The faster they dance, the closer the flowers are. Next comment.
Maybe just one thing we can address, we know a little bit about, is the Asian hornets. Maybe talking about some of the things about that.
So, guys, I'm going to be the Mythbuster around here and come down on that pretty hard. We are surrounded by hornets. We have species all around us. I like how we're really scared about those ones when here in the Southwest we live with tarantula hawk wasps. And
they are terrifying.
They're terrifying. I'm like, they're amazing. They really are. So we have these amazing species around us, but we still need to go and find these niches. They really don't affect humans that much. Unless you are really involving yourself in hornet affairs, they're going to leave you alone. So those whole murder hornets things, a lot of that was media sensation, and unfortunately we're not talking about them coming after humans. That name was actually a designation because they were going after honeybees, and they were going and attacking honeybee hives to go and get them. So that's where that designation came from. It's not a standard name. We don't approve of that name. They are the Asian giant hornets. That is the appropriate term for them. We want to make sure we are using the proper names for the species. So giant hornets are exactly like they sound. They are very large. They're over 2 inches. And they do go after bee colonies. However, bees are able to go and defend themselves. They go and they swarm on the hornets, and they start shimmying their bodies and kind of like that dance I was just showing you there. And what they do is they actually create so much heat, they end up essentially overheating the hornet, and it kills them. So bees are able to go and defend themselves, and we are pretty sure that while we've seen a couple here and there on the Pacific Northwest area, a little bit up into Canada, we haven't seen many come into the United States. We'll keep following. There's definitely the potential for invasive species finding footholds here, so it's something that we want to go. But guys, they're not coming after you. They're not going to hurt you. We're just talking about the bees today, and bees can defend themselves if they have to. So while it's something we want to keep in mind, I wouldn't put too much thought in it. And please don't hurt the bees. We've been seeing a lot of our news headlines coming through that people have been killing bees because they are mistaking them for hornets or anything like that. Guys, bees and hornets are very different. Bees have kind of an oval shape altogether. Wasps and hornets have a very pinched in waist, so they have a really hourglass figure. That thorax is really, really tiny. so you can usually go and tell them apart. Wasps and hornets, though, do help with some pollinating, though. So even if they might seem a little bit scary and alien, guys, they do still have a place in our world. So really, unless you're bothering them, they're not going to bother you. We ask that you leave them alone as much as possible. But let's go ahead and get started into our craft. If you guys have any bee questions, keep them coming. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now the first little guy that I showed you here is a little terracotta pot that I was able to go and paint here. But really, you guys can use kind of whatever you have at home, and I'll show you this right here. This is half of a juice box. So I painted mine white to start with because I'm just using it to make it show up a little bit more, but you don't have to. It's just that the base coat of the white makes it easier for you guys to look at. So we're going to go ahead. I have my paint, I have my paint brushes, and this craft will require a hot glue gun. So adults at home, they're going to have to help with this part. You guys will pretty much be able to do most things until it comes to attaching the things with the hot glue, but everything else. So feel free to use kind of whatever you have at home. I have a red Solo cup. I'm going to be doing some things with this later. And then just kind of show you the little pot that started. This is what I had to work with. So if you have anything like this, feel free to go and use that. You can use a cup, or like I said, if you have, this is just a juice box, I just went and cut in half. So we're going to go ahead and we'll start painting over here. So yeah, bees are amazing, amazing little ones. And yeah, that's actually one of my favorite facts about bees is the bee dancing. I will distinctly remember my teacher talking about that in college because we were talking about that for animal behavior. Again, that's my background. So bees will come in, and when they find food, they will dance to show which direction it is in. So as I drop everything. Hey guys, I'm a professional. So they will come through and they will show which direction it's in. And the faster they dance, the closer the flowers are. Now, what's interesting is bees have pretty good eyesight, relatively speaking, for insects. They actually have 5 eyes. Now, we know that spiders have 8 eyes. We've talked about that. But bees have 5. They have the 2 big ones off to the side. But if you look in the center of their kind of head area, you'll notice a little triangle of dark spots. Yep, those are eyes. Pretty cool. But they really can't see the color red. So right now, we're pretty sure they can see in some ultraviolet lights, although I'm going to be talking to Danielle more about this. She'll probably be able to give you a lot more information because I am definitely not the bee expert. So if you guys do come up with a question that I can't answer, stick around and I'll see if I can ask Danielle later on today. But our next question, let's see what we got.
Do we have any bees around? I've been trying to look and see if we see any bees.
Now, I honestly don't think we have any. We got some little ones. Keep it in mind. Definitely it's a seasonal thing for sure. And as the hot weather comes into play a little bit more, they tend to be a little bit more inactive. That's actually a thing people, especially here, will find during the hot summer months. You don't see them flying around too much, but you do end up kind of finding them along waterways. So like if you have a dripping faucet outside or anything like that.
Yep.
I don't see any bees yet. That's alright, we'll keep an eye open. But yeah, usually if you have a dripping faucet or a bird bath or something outside, you typically will find bees in there. They need to drink water, just like any other animals. So oftentimes the hive will find that water source, just like in the flower dance, they will go and communicate where the water is, and the whole hive will end up using it. Alright, so my first 2 stripes here, I put a little bit of yellow on there. 2 stripes of yellow, and then we're going to do 2 stripes of black. By the way, to make it painting easier, guys, I just have my fingers on the inside. There's a good chance you might get a little bit of paint on you, but don't worry, you're washable. It's fine to get a little bit messy. Getting messy is fun. That's why I'm a zookeeper. Constantly dirty. Alright. The zoological community has been doing a lot of work to help protect bees. So the more we are finding out about them, the more we are sharing that information to make sure that people are able to go and do what they need to do. So a really easy thing. This is what we're going to be using these pots for later on, is to have bee-friendly flowers around. Now, here's the thing with that. You do want to make sure they are native flowers whenever possible. So using native species in your garden planting around is a great way to help sustain your local species, because while honeybees are pretty adorable, they're technically not native. They are usually a European honeybee. They were introduced way back when, and I say that probably about 200 years or so ago. So these are actually a species from Europe. So they've been doing pretty well here, but we do have native species that still need to be taken care of and having that consideration. So I do recommend making sure that you use native plants whenever possible, because sometimes those insects and our little pollinators need those specific plants in order to survive. So while the wildflower packets that you can buy look really pretty, sometimes just letting a little patch of your garden get a little bit weedy is a really great way to help our local species, because the flowers that bloom from there usually end up benefiting the local species. So that's a really good way. All right, so we have our little 2 stripes there. Now, beekeeping, working with bees and having them work around our plants, has been around for thousands and thousands of years. We've known that a species of bee-type animal has existed for about 30 million years now, and since pretty much the dawn of civilization, humans have been using bees for honey and things like that. So the idea of beekeeping is a relatively new term in the way we do it today, with the veils and the beekeepers and the little slats. Again, we'll be talking to Danielle more about that. But really, civilizations have been doing this for a very, very long time. They'd either go and they'd track bees by, get this, tying little bits of grass to them so that they could go and watch the bees as they flew away. It was adorable, little bee trackers. And they would go and find it, or they would go and collect a few bees in a little jar, and they'd let one bee go at a time. And because bees usually go in a straight line, they were able to follow that bee for as long as possible, and then when they lost sight of it, they'd release the next one, and they were able to go and find them to the hive. The whole point was to not destroy the hive. They wanted to go and harvest whatever they could, but to keep the hives alive. That was really the big thing for them, and that has always kind of been the potential for this. So it's really been a great way to preserve and work in cohesion with our local species. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use googly eyes, because guys, googly eyes make everything better. Fact. Also science, that's what we do here, guys, a lot of science, and googly eyes. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and give him some little antenna. Although I should be calling it her. I'm going to go and give her some little antenna. Guys, if you're following along and making your craft, what are you guys going to name your little bees? I want to know. Some Delina?
Are you going to start bee puns now?
I'm absolutely going to start bee puns now. Just you wait. Alright, a little bit of glue on here. Again, guys, if you guys are using the hot glue gun, please make sure that you have an adult assistance. I'm doing it by myself because I don't have an adult to help out today. They're making me do this by myself. Believe me, there are adultier adults than me here.
I don't know.
I'm kind of the ranch mom. I yell at everybody a lot. Here we go. Here we go, coming together. Pretty awesome. Now we're still missing some little wings. Bees actually have 4 sets of wings, but today we're just going to be going and making 2 little ones. I'm using aluminum foil today, but you can either use aluminum foil or wax paper, parchment paper. If you guys do plant, or I'm sorry, you wouldn't use parchment paper. I'd use wax paper only or aluminum foil, because if these days you're going outside to get sunlight and it rains or anything like that, you don't want the wings to fall apart. So aluminum foil is a good thing to use. So I'm just going to go and cut out a little teardrop shape. Nothing too fancy. No bee questions, guys? Usually you guys have awesome questions. Oh, so one thing I was talking about earlier is the ways bees see as far as we are aware, bees can see in color, but limited. As far as we think, they actually can't see the color red. Which is interesting when you think about how bright and beautiful the flowers that they're going after. But what we think is they follow shapes a little bit more. So they'll go through and be like, ooh, if you go through this triangle over here, there's more. And so if that triangle is there as a landmark, that's what they're going to use more than, say, scent or sight, or colors, I should say. Alright, here we go, putting on our little wings. Look, fancy. There we go. How cute are these guys? Love it. Here we go. Alright, next question.
Hello, how are you guys doing? From Margie.
Hello, thank you for joining us, guys. If you guys have any questions or are just popping in, absolutely say hi, guys. We love seeing it. If you guys are doing this at home, go ahead, show me pictures. I can't wait to see, guys. Next question.
Caitlin asks, do you see a lot of bees at the ranch, and do any of the animals care about them? Just an ace.
So we do see bees here at the ranch because we do have some flowers, mostly for just you guys to come in and enjoy the beauty here. That's a big thing of what we love to do here. I'm definitely more into the gardening here, so I like it when the grounds look pretty and all of that. But the animals don't particularly care. I haven't seen them. They might go and swat at them. Now, however, our staff, not so much. If we see some larger bees or anything like that, you can promise yourself that Denise will not be anywhere near them. Now, I can also tell when there's any bees or anything nearby because I have a very special system of when I hear Denise scream in fear, I know that there's a bug nearby. It works. Alright, what do you think, guys? Pretty cute. Now, I'm just going to real quickly show you another way you can go and use a cup or any other things if you guys don't have paint at home. Next question.
The students at Mountain Heights Montessori would like to know if the Habitat has ever thought about beekeeping. I think Bev has mentioned it, but I don't think anything solid has ever come from it.
Nothing quite. It's something where personally I'd love to do. It's a lot of work. It really, really is. It's something where while we might love to do it, I don't think